Welcome back. Looks like the commissioner is ready.
With the first pick of the 2019 TV Studio Production Draft, the studio selects Haley Bradshaw,
She's a strong choice.
Hannah Campbell,
What a great pick.
Keelan Claiborne,
Oh, that's a nice one.
Sean Coleman,
He's been waiting for this.
Ava Cruchon,
She's a great addition.
Katie Gibbs,
Good pick.
Haley Kremel,
Solid choice.
Abby Peak,
Ooh, they'll go far with her.
Kendall Sowerby,
Can't go wrong with that one.
Mackenzie Van Zee,
Ooh, she'll be great.
Tristan Willis.
Big moment for him.
And that concludes the TV Studio Production Draft for 2019.
You're watching Studio 22.
Hello and welcome to Studio 22. My name is Ava Cruchon, and on today's show, musician Kaden Gray joins us. He's a mass communication freshman at Oklahoma City University, but today he'll be showing us the viola. We are pleased to welcome him to the show. Welcome, Kaden Gray. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing fine. So the first thing I always ask everybody is, where are you from?
Well, I'm from a small suburb called Tomball out of Houston, Texas, just north of it.
Very cool. So also, I always have to ask, why did you pick Oklahoma City University?
That's a really long story for me. I actually, leading up, I wasn't accepted into the university until early August. So it was very last minute, but I was originally going to a school in France, but things fell through, and I just immediately knew that this was the place. It felt like home when I toured it, and it was very welcoming, and I just loved it here.
That is so cool. So you had to get everything ready in essentially like a matter of just like weeks, or like how long of a timeline did you have with that?
Well, actually, when I got accepted, it was the day of move-in, and so I had and so I had actually 6 days to get my housing scheduled and get my actual schedule fixed and get financial aid figured out. And so it was a very fast process, but I'm very grateful for everyone who helped out in the process that it took.
That is too cool. So I know you're a mass communication student at OCU. Why did you pick this degree?
That's actually another complicated story. I went through, I started my senior year of high school as a music ed major. I wanted to go into music. But then I realized that that's probably not something. I would love the process of being a music major, but not the careers that come with it. And then I realized that I loved telling stories, and I loved being a part of political movements and campaigns and stuff like that. And so mass communications just really spoke to me in that aspect.
That's too cool. So I know there are two different routes at OCU. You are part of the strategic communications route of the mass communications program, and I am part of the multimedia journalism and broadcast production route. Why did you choose the strategic communications route?
Well, I looked at it online, the two, and I was looking at the courses you had to take, and I saw that the strategic communications had advertising and public relations, and what really stood out was campaigning to me, because that's such a big thing for me. I would love to be a part of campaigns or be a part of companies that do political movements like that, and so that really spoke to me in that way.
I really like that. So I also know you've talked about receiving a couple minors while being at OCU. What minors are you looking at right now?
I'm looking at getting a minor in social media and in Chinese.
Interesting. Did you take Chinese in high school?
No, I didn't. My high school didn't offer it, but it's been something I've always been interested in, so I'm glad that they offer it here.
I really like that. And also, are you a part of any groups or organizations at OCU yet, or are there any groups that you're looking to get involved in?
Well, I just recently joined the esports team here, and next semester I'm looking to join the debate team to get into that.
Yeah, I really love that. So I know today you're going to show us the viola. Can you talk about how you started playing the viola and why you decided to start playing the viola?
Yeah, so I started playing the viola when I was 10 in 5th grade through my school district. Klein ISD does a program called 5th Grade Strings, and it's a way to introduce 5th graders, the elementary school kids, into music before they get into middle school. And so I started there because it was something that everyone seemed passionate about, and so I wanted to join it.
That's too funny. We had a string program at my elementary school.
Oh, really?
I wonder if that's like a national thing. So you've been playing the viola since 5th grade?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Well, did you do it throughout middle school and high school too, or was it something that was more of a hobby and you did at home?
Oh, I did it all throughout middle school and high school. It was a big part of my life throughout school.
That is too cool. So was it the strings program that made you decide to start playing the viola, or was it you just gain interest and you're like, what the heck, like I want to do it?
Yeah, it was really like that. They come and they do a performance at our elementary school and try to persuade us into it. And it was something I wasn't really involved, and I didn't have much to do at elementary school, so I saw that as an opportunity to do something. And so I enjoyed it a lot, and it was crazy time.
That's awesome. Well, would you ever want to teach the viola to anyone, or is it something that you just want to continue to play throughout your adult
I would
life?
love to teach as well. I actually in high school became like a teacher assistant for the 5th grade strings program and was actually taught 5th graders how to play the instruments.
That is too fun. Well, we'll continue more about your viola experience after the break.
Let's try that again. Keep Oklahoma beautiful. For more information, visit www.keepoklahomabeautiful.com.
Hello and welcome back to Studio 22. So we're going to just jump right back into conversation. So what has been your favorite piece to play with the viola?
I think my favorite piece to play was have to be my junior year. The symphony orchestra at my high school played Tchaikovsky's 4th Symphony, the first movement, and it was just like a 20-minute piece, but it was absolutely beautiful and very emotional. And it was the last piece I played with a lot of my mentors that taught me throughout high school. So it was a very emotional and memorable piece.
What's the longest piece you have ever played?
It would have to be that one. It was 20 minutes long, and the closest one that has come to that maybe 10 minutes. So,
Really?
Yeah.
So do you usually do a lot of smaller pieces, or are they, I don't know how long usually pieces are, so.
Well, starting out, they ranged between 3 and 5, but as I got into my junior and senior year, average was 10 to 15 minutes of music.
Gotcha. I know at my high school they had chairs. Did they have like certain chairs in your high school for your orchestra?
Not exactly.
Not exactly, okay.
You were just he would put like a leader of the section, but then everyone else, it was just kind of miscellaneous who we thought would fit better with each other.
I like that. So do you play any other instruments, or is it just the viola?
It's just the viola.
Oh, that's so fun. Do you play regularly?
I do, yes.
Do you play in your dorm?
No.
No.
I play in the practice rooms in the dorm, but my roommate would not appreciate me playing.
I don't think anyone on the floor would appreciate it. But I think you should definitely do like a show, or even I know you can possibly take lessons at OCU. Are you looking into that?
Oh yes, I'm actually planning on emailing the professor to try and get lessons from her.
That's very cool. So what made you decide to do mass communications over music education? I know you talked about how you really wanted to share a story and everything, but was there anything else that made you sway that way to mass communications?
Not exactly. I knew I loved my instrument. I knew I loved music, but I knew it was something that I couldn't see myself doing for the rest of my life. But I knew I loved telling the story behind the music, and I knew I could do that with something. And so I decided that mass communications was a way that I can do that. It's still tell a story and still be a part of that process.
I like that. So would you want to play after college? Like, would you want to join a group or anything to play the viola?
Oh, most definitely. I looked into that. My director in high school encourages everybody to join like a small symphony, just like a city symphony. And so I'm excited to look into that and get into that.
Okay, so what's the best and worst thing about playing the viola?
The best thing for me was the emotion I had behind it and the bond that I had playing it with other people, especially in a group. And the worst thing would have to be the calluses that you get on your fingers after playing for a very long time. But just minor things. There's not much bad things behind it.
If you could give me one word of advice, if I ever picked up and started playing the viola, what would it be?
Relax.
Relax.
Yes, a lot of beginners tense up when they play, and it causes a lot of strain in their motion and their movement. So relaxing and really just breathing when you play is very important.
Well, that's so amazing. Right after this break, Kaden will give us a little demo of what we need to know and learn from the viola.
No, 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 no! No!
Just what do you think you are doing, Dave? I really think I'm entitled to an answer to that question. I can see you're really upset about this. I know I've made some very poor decisions recently, but I can give you my complete assurance that my work will be back to normal. Dave, stop, will you? Will you stop, Dave?
My name is Eric.
There are plenty of teams in every sport that have great players and never win titles. Most of the time, those players aren't willing to sacrifice for the greater good of the team. One thing I believe to the fullest is that if you think and achieve as a team, the individual accolades will take care of themselves. Talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships.
I don't work a 9 to 5, but I have a job to do.
I don't wear a tie, but I still wear a suit in my court.
My field of work isn't average, and my time around the water cooler is limited.
I work overtime, but the payoff is worth it.
I don't work a 9 to 5, but I have a job to do. I'm an OCU athlete.
I'm an OCU athlete.
I'm an OCU athlete.
I'm an OCU athlete.
This is my city. This is where I learn, play, work, eat. This is my city. This is my home.
What is Mass Comm at OCU? It's working on a breaking story. It's creating ad campaigns for real clients. It's training in public relations. It's an internship downtown. It's not a lecture hall with 200 students. It's not waiting to meet with your professor. It's knowing everyone's name It's winning awards and honors.
And it's reporting live from Oklahoma City.
Find out what it is for you at okcu.edu.
Hello and welcome back to Studio 22. So we are here with Kaden and he's going to explain to us everything about the viola because as someone who doesn't know anything about instruments and playing, I need a full rundown. So let's start off with explaining me about the shape of the viola.
Perfect. So it's very similar to the violin if you know anything about the violin. So it has the body and then the fingerboard, which are the main two things, and then the strings. It has the A, D, G, and C string, very similar to the cello. And then to tune it, we have the pegs up here that tighten or loosen it to do big intonation changes, and then the fine tuners, they do exactly what it sounds like. They just fine tune it, make sure it's perfectly in tune. And then some other small things, we have a shoulder rest here that you put on. It's a separate piece to make sure it comfortably sits on your shoulder because that would be very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then there's a chin rest, so your chin has a little comfort to it as well.
Love that. So is it hard to tune your viola?
It can be, yes, especially if you're working with the pegs. It's easy to pop a string.
Oh no.
Yes. But when you just get it to the fine tuners, it's very simple. Once you hear the pitch and you know what you're looking for, it's really easy.
Well, have you ever popped a string?
I've never popped a string on my own, but the first time I ever was a TA teaching 5th grade strings, the first violin I ever tuned, I accidentally popped their highest string by accident. Yeah, it was tragic.
No.
I felt really bad, but.
So between different songs and different pieces, do you have to tune it to different things?
No.
Not really?
That's, I know like the double bass does, but for this, not specifically, no.
So do you tune your viola before you play a piece? Like before you go out to play a piece for your orchestra, for example, in high school?
Yeah, so there's always a tuning process before like a warm-up, and then typically once you're on stage, they have like just a small like double check. You just hit the strings and make sure they're still in the right place, and you just go.
That's awesome. So also, can you talk to me more about the strings and how they're all different? Because as someone who doesn't really know anything about strings and the different notes, can you elaborate more on how they're all so different?
Yes, okay, so they're all in fifths.
Yeah.
So the highest one is the A string, and so it's the smallest width, and all instruments have it, the violin, the cello, and the bass, and then the D string's the next, and then the G string, which is very similar. The violin, cello, and bass also have that. But then what's unique is there's the C string, and it's our thickest and lowest one, and it's only shared with the cello. And so that one, it's harder to get because of the size of the instrument. It's harder to get a good tone on the C string, so it takes a lot of weight. But for the others, it's a pretty easy, simple process.
I love that. So do you have to run your fingers up and down the strings while you're playing pieces?
Depends. Yeah, I mean.
Where do you normally rest your fingers while you're playing pieces?
It's kind of first position, which is going to be right here at the very end, towards the nut right here. So that's just first position, and there are pieces where you are up here. But for viola, it's very rare to go up there. It's very much of like a cello violin process.
Gotcha. So there's different positions on. So it's much like ballet. How many positions are there on the viola?
Oh, endless. Yes, if you can put your finger on a different note, it's a different position.
Oh wow. So how many positions have you, just a guesstimate, that you had to use during like your longest piece, for example, the 20-minute show while you were in high school?
Oh, for that one, I was in 5 different positions for that one,
On average, how many different positions do you usually use? Is it just you usually stay with one, or it just depends on the piece?
It actually depends on what sound you want to produce, because different positions produce different kinds of sounds and what you want it to sound like. And so on average, For just like a normal like high school piece, you use probably like 3, like first, second, and third.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're playing like a solo piece, you'll probably use like 6 or 7.
Gotcha. So I actually want you to play for the audience a little bit about the sound, showing the difference between the 4 strings. Can you do that for us? Beautiful. Thank you.
Yes, so this is the bow, and then so for the A string, it's our highest one. And then the D string.
So I saw that you moved your hand off the, is this called the bow, correct?
This is
No,
called
not the bow.
fingerboard.
That's the bow. That's the
Yeah.
board. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I saw you moved your hand off the board to the
shoulder.
Yes, to the shoulder. Why is that?
Because I wasn't using my hand. In
Oh.
reality, you should be able so relaxed and everything that you don't need this hand to hold it up. Because here, when you're playing, you're constantly moving, and so this isn't holding up anything. It's just to make the note.
That's so interesting. So did you ever have to practice just having it on your shoulder and playing, or is that just something you recommend doing at home, like to learn?
Oh, definitely. A lot of times when you're learning, you get really tense, and like we call this pancake hand, where you're holding it with your hand. Yeah, it's a funny name. And when you're learning and you're getting into the higher levels, they actually tell you to like stop and do this a lot. And then you hold it.
Really?
And yeah, just to learn so you get comfortable with that feeling.
What was one of the biggest things you had to learn from your teacher throughout your elementary, middle school, and high school career playing the viola?
Playing the viola would have to be the tone, because
tone.
yeah, the strings of the viola is very similar to the cello, but it's similar to the size of the violin. And because of that, it's one of the hardest instruments to get a really good tone out of it. And so learning how to use your weight of your arm and the shape of your hand on the bow to get a good tone out of the viola was something that took years, and it was really tricky to do.
Can you show me what you mean by shape of the hand?
Yeah, so when I first started playing, they taught me to have like a higher wrist right here.
Yeah.
And once I got into high school and I got a new teacher, she was like, for violas, you have to drop the hand here, so it's more weight into the string, so you produce a better tone.
Have you ever broke any strings off your bow?
All the time.
All the time?
Very, very normal.
So how often do you have to replace your bow, or do you replace it?
The bow itself, like the stick and everything, is replaced just if you want like a better quality or anything, but the hair replaced every few months.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah,
And isn't the hair horsehair, if I'm not mistaken?
It is.
Do you know why they possibly chose horsehair of all of hair to like choose?
I actually do not know, but I know the rosin is what really gets it to stick to the string.
Oh, you put rosin on your, I did not know that. That is very interesting. So can you elaborate more about how like you tune your viola? Like how long of a process does it take? Is it just something you really do real quick before your show? Or is it something that takes like a solid hour just sitting down, listening to it?
Oh no, it's a really quick process. It's very much, especially if you have a tuner in front of you, or if you're playing the note, if you can just hear the note and you just play it.
So you tune it while you're going. So if you have any recommendations at home to someone who wants to start learning how to play the viola, what would it be?
I would definitely say just get comfortable with the feeling, because it's an awkward feeling. I would start without the bow, just being comfortable, positioning your hands, positioning everything, and just making sure you're very relaxed.
Very relaxed throughout it? I know that's something you said it took you like a really long time to do, but I just know for me that's something that would be really hard to do.
It is.
But also just elaborate about the little shoulder pad. Is that what it's called? Or what is
the shoulder rest?
The shoulder rest, yes.
So it just comes off, and the way that they teach it is if it looks like a frowny face, you're putting it on correctly. And then you just snap it right on, and it's just there to put your shoulder on, and it's very comfortable, very nice.
I'm so sorry I have to cut you off. Right after this break, we will come back and I'll talk to Kaden some more. Thank you.
They love me. They love me not. They love me. Mother Nature and let her keep Oklahoma beautiful.
The Stars in retreat. The shot goes up. Devasane comes out of nowhere, and another block for OCU. This guy's on fire. This kid owns OCU's record in blocks not only on the court, but off the court as well. Earlier today, he was busy crashing the boards. Just a rebounding machine. Even cleaning up the glass, giving a whole new meaning to garbage time. Devasane, MVP on the court, and keeping Oklahoma beautiful off the court.
I was looking for a way to help out with my community while also getting close with my gal pals.
I've been looking for an addition in my life that can make things more lively.
I wanted a companion to curl up with at night.
That's why we adopted these guys.
Research shows that women love cute little things. So what's wrong with you? Get a guy who's guaranteed to stay.
Oklahoma isn't your room. So don't trash it.
No, 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 no! No!
Just what do you think you are doing, Dave? I really think I'm entitled to an answer to that question. I can see you're really upset about this. I know I've made some very poor decisions recently, but I can give you my complete assurance that my work will be back to normal. Dave, stop, will you? Will you stop, Dave?
My name is Eric.
Kaden is going to show me a little bit how to play the viola.
Perfect. So just make sure your shoulders are nice and relaxed and they're not tense.
Okay.
And then make sure your chin is rested on the chin rest.
Okay.
Yes. And then you're gonna put your hand out here.
Okay, a hand out here.
And then take your thumb here, put it on the fingerboard.
Fingerboard?
Kind of shape it differently. So yes, perfect.
Okay.
And then with the flesh of your finger, go ahead and pluck the A string. Let go here.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
There you go. Yes, yes, yes.
I was like, oh no. That's the D string?
Yes, it is.
The G string. F?
C.
C. Ah, I was dang it. I was so close. I was so close.
Yes.
Okay. So, do you usually switch between the four of these strings while you're playing, correct?
Oh, definitely.
Oh,
Most
yes?
definitely.
Okay. What's something that I could do that would just like keep plucking away?
I can tell. So you could do D A D, D A D.
D A D. D A D. D A D.
Yes, and then that's the first song we teach every 5th grader. It's called the dad song.
The dad song?
The dad song, and then we tell them, go home and play it for your dad, and they get so excited. Yes.
That's so cute. Did you go home and play it for your dad?
Oh, yes, I did.
Was that the first song that you really rocked out at home?
Oh, yes, it was.
I love that. Oh, my goodness. It's been such a delight to have you on the show. Thank you for letting me demo your viola. Thank you all for watching Studio 22, and we'll catch you back next time.